Well, welcome back to East End Park, Andy. Nice to see you.
Good to be back, yes. Didn't think I'd be back here so quickly, but it's good to be back.
When you first signed for Dunfermline, it was way back in June 2011.
Was it?
It was.
Makes me feel old now.
Signed by Jimmy Mack.
That's right, yeah.
What made you come to Dunfermline?
I don't know, I had a few options that summer. I was leaving Ross County and I had 2 or 3 really good options, and I don't know, I was just speaking to Macca, and he'd come to get me a good few months sort of before that, or sort of made contact anyway, and sort of made me feel wanted. So I don't know, it just felt right for me. I liked the way he spoke, and I liked he was obviously a forward as well, and he spoke about that, and I thought he could improve my game and stuff like that. But it was obviously a big club, it was Premier League, and just everything sort of come together, and it just made my decision pretty easy. I said actually before, I would actually met with Falkirk, Stephen Presley as well, just before, and they sort of made me an offer, and I went to the training ground and all that, so it could have all worked out very differently, but thankfully it didn't.
Premier League that season, which maybe wasn't the best because we had just been promoted when you came in, and that season didn't work out as well as everybody had hoped it was going to work out.
No, it was obviously difficult just coming up, and we were found wanting in terms of our quality. We weren't probably good enough, truth be told, and there was obviously a change of manager, and Jim McIntyre left in the sort of February time, I think it was, and Jim Jeffries came in, and we made a fight of it, I suppose, at the end, but we weren't good enough, simple as that, and we were relegated. Which was obviously disappointing. You come to a new club, Premier League, you don't want that, and you want to come and be successful right away. But as much I still enjoyed my time, and I still enjoyed, and I started to feel part of the club. And as much as it wasn't going well, sort of on the part all the time, we still had good results, and within that, and I scored goals, and it was still, personally, I wouldn't say it's a good season, but I still sort of took positives from the season. I felt that we could come straight back up. I thought we were good enough and big enough club, and with Jim Jeffries, and we could come straight back up.
Your first goal for us was against Annan in the League Cup.
That's right, yeah. Header from a corner, so it was good to get off the mat as a striker. You want to get off the mat quickly. I don't know if I'd scored pre-season before that. I can't really remember in the games we'd played, but it was always good to get off the mat in the first game. I think it was the second goal. I don't know if it was the first goal that day, but anyway. But it was good to get off the mat and get that monkey off your back and go on, and hopefully it was the plan to get some more goals.
You didn't score so many in your first season, but in your second season you did.
Yeah, it was first season, I think it was 6 or 7 in the Premier League, and which you want to, as a striker, you always want to hit double figures. That's your first target, and didn't do that obviously. But the second year we had scored a lot of goals, and then obviously the off-field troubles kicked in, and things went a wee bit sort of off the track, and we know what happened after that.
Because that season under Jim Jeffries went off to started at a good pace. I mean, we're winning Everton, and won a lot of games and scored a lot of goals, so everything looked good.
It did. We had a good team, mixture of youth and a wee bit of experience. Had all the makings a really good season for it. We were top of the league, going really well, playing some really good football, and everything was good. It was an enjoyable place to be. It was great to come in every day, and I think as a player you can sort of feel when you've got something good, and certainly when you're a wee bit older and a wee bit more experienced, you know what it sort of feels like when you've got a good thing going, and definitely we felt like that, and it was just disappointing that it was something that was off field that sort of derailed that.
Did the circumstances off field affect the players quite early on?
No, I think initially we kind of kept it going for maybe the first month, as we were at the time we were told it was a short-term problem. That was so, we kind of put it to one side. It was quite easy to do so at the time, and we kept it going. The first few results were okay. we didn't sort of fall away. It was when it started dragging on, and then the worry starts to kick in for players, and players have got responsibilities and families are affected, and that ultimately has an effect. And you're human beings, and you're not going to change that. So anybody that says otherwise, it's lying. Of course, it had an effect, and as it dragged on, I think it was 6 months before it actually the administration sort of kicked in. So that's a long time. We hadn't been paid properly for these 6 months. It was 20% here, and it's hard. None of the boys were on enough money to be able to cope with such sort of these circumstances. So of course it was hard, and it definitely did. There's no doubt about it. You can see that with the league positions, the results we were getting. It definitely had an effect on us.
And then of course went into administration. So how did it feel that day when you were all called in?
Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, it was. We knew we were getting called in the night before. We had a game. We found out before the game actually, which wasn't ideal, that we had to report at whatever time it was the next day, and we would learn what was going to happen. We'd find out who was staying and who was going. So it wasn't great preparation for a big game against Falkirk at the time, and it was a horrible feeling getting into that game that night. And I actually remember the referee, George Salmon, come into the dressing room before the game, and the way he came in, he was very sort of sheepish, and he was apologising to everyone and stuff, and it wasn't his place to apologise, but I think he even felt how difficult the circumstances were. It was just a horrible night, and then obviously didn't get much sleep that night either, because you're sort of worrying about the next day, and you come in, we travel through, sort of few of us travel through in the car together, and you're talking about it, and you're effing and anding and trying to second guess people and trying to see what we think, and we had an idea who it was going to be, just be sort of as players do, they kind of work things out, they're not daft when it comes to things like that. So we had an idea, and then we were sat in the room and you get called out. It was literally, everybody was there that day, and the room was full, and a list of names was called out, and you had to go through to one of the boxes, and that was you were off, sign here and see you later sort of thing. So it was a horrible day. It feels, no matter, it was a few years ago, but I can still remember conversations I had with people's reactions. It feels very raw even now still.
Yeah. And I think when you're losing your job like that, it's quite devastating, really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And at the timing as well, I think it was the end of March, so we had 3 days to sign with another team, or else we wouldn't be able to earn to the following season. So timing was horrible as well. But I think everyone sort of got something else which helped. It didn't make it any easier, but it helped. Apart from Kirky, I think Kirky was the only one that never signed with someone until the following season. But so all these things come into your head, and like I say, it's not just affecting you. Boys have got families, kids, mortgages, and all that. So it plays into that. So it wasn't nice.
When you came back in season 2014-15, how did that move come about then? Because at that time it was John Potter and Neil McCann in charge then.
That's right. I still spoke to both Neil and John, even when I was away. When John got the job, he gave us a call and said, "Look, would you be interested in it? Is it something you would want to do? We need someone of your type, and I think it would be good." And so right away, obviously, my answer was yes, and didn't think it was going to happen because it was Morton. I was a rival club, sort of going for the league, and just didn't think it was possible. But they asked the question, and they contacted the club, and Jim Duffy spoke to me. Jim Duffy's a very fair man, he's a good guy, and he came and spoke to me. He could have quite easily not told me, for his knowledge he didn't know that I knew, so he could have quite easily just left it at that. And he asked me what I wanted to do. There was an opportunity obviously to do coaching as well, which kind of looked to the future. So he was fair enough that he told me and realised it was maybe a good thing for me going forward, and he asked me, and I told him in no uncertain terms what I wanted, and went on for another kind of couple of weeks after that, and again we didn't know if it was going to happen. It was just, I had to just get on with it at Morton, and just as if I was playing there, they were paying my wages, and I had to just get on with it. But in the back of my mind, I always sort of wanted it to happen and hoping it happened, and thankfully it did. I don't think it was too near the end of the window, but it was certainly a couple of weeks had passed, and thankfully it happened, and we managed to get things sorted that end. And obviously Ross Forbes went the opposite way, and whatever the deal was done, and I was back.
I can honestly say I've never seen anybody so pleased to come back here as when you came back the second time.
Yeah, no, I was, like I say, it was, of course, it was something I really wanted, and the way it ended the first time as well, you've kind of got that unfinished business sort of mentality as well. So, no, it was great, and you know, they say you shouldn't sort of go back to a team. It doesn't always work out, which it proved that it didn't really work out. But yeah, I was never going to turn that opportunity down, and I would never, I would have been kicking myself if I hadn't taken that chance, and so it was never in my mind to not do it.
And you got the chance to help out coaching the under-20s as well.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about that?
Yeah, enjoyed it. Coaching's never really been something that's been on my sort of plan, or I've been doing a degree, and I see myself sort of moving away from the kind of football side of it, but the opportunity came up, and I thought again it was one of them, why not? I was getting a chance to come back to Dunfermline, so I was going to take it regardless of the circumstance. So yeah, but you know what, I really enjoyed it. I got a real buzz for it, and you obviously know the journeys away, and it's not the most glamorous of jobs, but I really did enjoy it. And the boys, when you could see the players sort of taking on board what you were saying, and that, it felt good, and it was a strange feeling, but it was a good feeling, and I did get that wee sort of buzz for it, and I really enjoyed it, and I would have loved to continue, but it wasn't to be. That's football, things change, and clubs change, managers change, personnel change, and that happens. So you're old enough and wise enough to know that, and you just got on with it, and there's no hard feelings, and the club obviously went on and done very well last season, which I'm still a fan, still look for the result, and still like to see them doing well. So it's great.
While with us, you actually played in 3 divisions.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah,
So
never thought of that.
how do you actually look back on your time at Dunfermline?
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, alongside, I had a good time at Ross County, and alongside that, I think that's my 2 favourite clubs. I've played for a good few clubs, and a lot of the ways it was similar, because it's similar sort of feels about the club. Dunfermline is a bigger club, even though Ross County are maybe in the Premier League now, but it's a very family sort of orientated. Everyone knows each other. It's loads of good people working behind the scenes, and so there's a lot of similarities between the club, and it's just a good fit for me. And at Dunfermline, it was just really good. So although there was hard times and disappointing times, and I still look back at my memories, and they're all sort of not all good memories, but I look back at it fondly, and I enjoyed my time here, and it's a club that is close to my heart, and maybe it shouldn't be because of what happened, but I don't know why it is, but it just is. It just, sometimes you just can't help the way you feel, and for me that's the way I feel.
So what does Andy Barrowman do now?
Oh, I'm doing a degree, a business management. In my last few months, all going well. I'll graduate in January. I'm actually doing a bit of work with the SFA at the moment, a sort of work placement there, so I'm in there a couple of days a week, and which is good. It's different, it's all changed, but it's something I've been preparing for. It's a short career, and I'm sort of coming up 32 now, and maybe I could still be playing, but I wasn't enjoying it, and you think you've got to comes a time when you make a decision, and people always said to me when I was younger, when you're not enjoying it, that's the time to call it a day. Fit as I could keep playing, and but I didn't. I chose not to. So I'm looking to the future, and I'm excited about it. It's not something that scares me. It's something I'm excited about, and hopefully in the next, I'll hopefully still be involved in football. That would be the aim, but more in the sort of business side of it.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us, Andy, and it's nice to see you back here again.
Great to be here, and it's good to see you too.